Hey love bugs, welcome back to another Tarot Lover Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the Crow Tarot created by MJ Cullinane. So if you have heard of this tarot deck or you did not know this tarot deck even existed, hopefully this review and the flip through that comes afterwards helps you to decide on whether or not this tarot deck is right for you. Now if you want to skip forward to the flip through, feel free, but take a look at my description. I break down all of these suits in chapters so you can go straight to the spot that you want to start with in the flip through. But for right now, we are going to talk about the packaging for this tarot deck. We are going to talk about the guidebook, and we're going to talk about all things regarding the cards. So the backs, the card stocks, the imagery, all of that good stuff. So if you're interested, stick around. If not, feel free to skip to the flip through. So first things first, let's get into the box. This is what the box looks like. And the tarot deck was published by US Games Systems Inc. So you can find this tarot deck on their website, or you can find it on, online, on Amazon, things like that. That's where I got my tarot deck, was through Amazon. So that is the box. It opens as so, and you do kind of have a design on the sides as well, which I do love. The box is thick to make sure that your cards are well protected, just in case it does fall to the floor. So yeah, that is the packaging. Let's talk about the guidebook. So this is the guidebook. Okay. And in regards to the guidebook, so the major arcana, or the cards in general, there are no pictures of the cards within this guidebook, which is totally fine. The way that each card is described in each of their meanings is the author, which I believe is MJ, basically did it to where they describe the imagery within that card, and then kind of express and mingle in, the meaning of that particular tarot card, if that makes sense. So they're kind of incorporating what they selected as far as imagery within the cards with the general description of the card in tarot in general. So there is that, and that's through all of the cards. Now you will notice some differences with the major and the minor. The major arcana will also include keywords along with the description, and also the I think like the element. They also include the element of that particular card within the description of that major arcana card. Whereas the minor arcana, you do not get keywords for each of the minors. Instead, it is at the very beginning of the suit. So you get key descriptions or keywords for the suit itself, and not necessarily on an individual basis for each of the minor arcana. So that is something to keep in mind. Also, you do get a tarot spread, a themed tarot spread within the guidebook, which is fantastic because I always think that it's a good idea to at least have one tarot deck in there, and it's kind of like a bonus when it's a themed tarot spread related to your tarot deck, because I just feel like it just adds a level of connection, a level of understanding between you and your new tarot deck. And it creates that new relationship, if that makes sense. But yeah, that is the guidebook. Now let's talk about the cards. So this is what the backs look like. Beautiful, like leaf. It's like a leaf, a dried leaf print. And I love that. It's very different. I have not seen something like this before, and I feel like it really fits the brief when it comes to this particular type of tarot deck, this theme tarot deck. It works. It makes sense. And the color tones that they've used is beautiful, right? You typically would not see this kind of color brown within a tarot card's, backing. So I like that. It's kind of like outside of the box in a way. As far as the size of the cards, they are rather big. Not super big. I'm trying to get a card out for you to compared to, I'm using the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot card. It's your standard tarot card. In side-by-side comparison with the Crow Tarot, you can see that there is a bit, not a huge difference, but I mean, there's a difference in card size. So the cards are a little bit bigger. So as far as depending how you shuffle your tarot cards, you may find it a little bit difficult to shuffle, or it may just be perfect for you. So as far as the texture of the cards, it is a matte texture, paper matte texture, the type of matte you would expect in for a tarot deck, right? So it's a matte texture. The cardstock. So let's talk cardstock. This feels almost in the Goldilocks zone, a little bit into the thicker side. So what I mean by that when I say Goldilocks zone is, Goldilocks zone for me is the perfect shuffle. When you are able to, you know, bend the cards and shuffle, and it shuffles perfectly. Like you're not straining too much to bend the cards in order to shuffle, and it's not too easy for you to bend and shuffle in that particular type of manner. So I call that poker shuffle. So that's what I kind of reference when it comes to a Goldilocks type of card. I'm comparing it based off of that type of shuffle because it gives me an idea of whether or not a cardstock is too thick or a cardstock is too thin, to where it alters the way that I can shuffle a tarot deck, if that makes sense. I'm a very hands-on visual person, so when I feel like something is not quite right, I feel like it kind of throws me off at times. So I do rather enjoy thicker cardstock because one, they will stand the test of time, and two, they won't warp. I like to try to keep my tarot cards in as good condition as possible. I understand with wear and tear, things are going to alter, and I understand that, but I like to try to keep my tarot decks as in good condition as possible. So with this particular tarot deck, like I said, it's close to a Goldilocks zone type of cardstock, but if you need a visual of what I'm talking about, I do this C scale. So this right here is your paper thin cardstock. You have your really thick cardstock to where you cannot bend it, and then you have that Goldilocks zone, that perfect shuffle, right? So starting from the middle, it's probably a notch down into the thicker side. It's not like a really big step, but it's just enough to where you can feel the added thickness. Now, to me, whenever it's a thicker cardstock, it's normally because it's a larger card. And if you have a larger card, you want to make sure that you're covering enough surface area and you're making sure that that card stays, it doesn't warp as fast. Because I feel like if it was a thinner cardstock and you try to shuffle this deck, your cards would very well be bent quicker than it really needed to be. Right? So that is the cardstock, something you want to keep in mind. Now, let's talk about the naming convention before we get into the imagery. So naming convention, I'm comparing this and the imagery to the standard Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, because a lot of the guidebooks out there are based off of this imagery, and a lot of the other tarot decks that people create are based off of this imagery. So I like to use it as an example when going over my tarot decks with you guys. So naming conventions with the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck in mind. The major arcana follow all the same major arcana names. The minor arcana follows the same minor arcana name. So you have Pentacles, Cups, Swords, and Wands in this tarot deck. You do not have any bonus cards as well, which is totally fine. It is not a make or break kind of situation. It's, you know, it's a perk when you get a bonus card in your tarot deck, but it's really not needed, right, to read tarot. So that is the naming convention. Pretty straightforward, exactly the same as the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. Now, imagery definitely does not follow the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, okay? It's a crow tarot. It is an animal style type of tarot. So of course, I would think that it wouldn't necessarily follow the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. Although you do get key points, key symbols within each of these cards that hint towards what type of card that it is. So for example, with the Strength card, you would expect to see a lion in that card, and you do, but also a crow as well. So you still get that Rider-Waite vibe to it. You do get subtle hints of it, but it is done in a way that best suits the Crow Tarot, making it the Crow Tarot. I never thought that I would be someone who would pick this particular tarot deck up. It is such a popular tarot deck, but I'm just not very much an animal type of tarot deck person. I like more, you know, human figures within my tarot cards. I always felt like it was it's hard to read an animal card because you can't really read the expressions sometimes. And I feel like expressions that are on people's faces definitely help intuitively to connect to what that card's trying to say. And that can be very hard with animal style tarot decks that are out there. So I didn't think that I would pick this particular tarot deck up, and I did. And I'm happy that I did because I love it. And this is another one that is like, not so much spicy, but it's very to the point. Like, come on. It's very to the point, right? It doesn't sugarcoat. It's very matter of fact when I do readings with this particular tarot deck, which I love. I don't want it necessarily sugar-coated. And I think definitely the imagery within each of the cards aid to that, and the card's temperament within a particular reading that it does. So yeah, I didn't think that I would like this tarot deck, and I do. I laugh at every time I do a reading when I ask a question and it's just like, well, this. And it's just like, yeah, okay, makes sense. It's just like, you did not know this kind of thing. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say when it comes to the way that I get my responses back with this tarot deck. So yeah, I hope this review has helped in some way. Let me know if it did. Leave a like. Take a look at my channel, see if there are any tarot decks that I have done a review on that you might be interested in. But if you do not find a tarot review that I've done I haven't done one for a deck that you're interested in, feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know what that tarot deck is. And you never know, I might have that tarot deck and I just haven't done a review for it just yet. But yeah, let me know. And without further ado, here is the flip through, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.